This is an approach that I think is heavily backed by science, and it's influenced by thousands and thousands of hours of tutoring specifically for the MCAT. The whole goal of this is to get to practice questions faster, and then we're going to blend what we learn from content and what we learn from practice questions to get a full mastery of these topics. First, you're going to go over the high yield information, and you're not going to get lost in these really low yield details. This does not mean that you're not going to have a really good understanding and pretty good recall ability of the high yield information and of the details for that high yield information, but you're not going to get really focused on memorizing every single specific fact. You're going to do that for a few topics. So you're not going to do this for an entire subject like general chemistry. You'll do this for topics like acids and bases. After you have a good understanding and a good recall ability of that high yield information, you'll move on to step 2, which is doing practice questions over that information. The practice questions do serve as a gauge for how well you understand the information now, but you also need to be using these as a tool to learn more about these topics. During the review process of your practice questions, you're going to go very in depth, reread the passage, redo the questions, and get a really solid understanding of how this information was used in the passage and applied to those questions. You're going to use what you learned from that process and have it change the way that you understood the information from your reviewing of that content. Now you can understand the content within the framework of how it's applied to these passages. And really, this is the entire goal of your MCAT prep. And that takes us to step 3, which is to go back over the information from content and see how your understanding has changed now that you've seen how it's applied to the passages. By doing this back and forth, looking at the content, seeing how it's applied, you're going to have a great synthesis of the information and really get a grasp of how it's applied to the questions that you need to be doing. Check out the link in my bio to my self-paced course to see how to create a schedule using my content source and UWorld practice questions.